Hi there, this is Mark Rivera with GenreOnlinenet, and these are the Chronicle books, Star Wars Chronicles and Star Wars Chronicles, the prequels, which were released in 1997 and 2005 respectively, and go for approximately $150 US, and they may cost a little bit more or a little bit more less depending on other countries where this book was published. The first book, Star Wars Chronicles, was published originally in Japan and then was released in the United States in 1997 to coincide with the release of the Star Wars Trilogy Special Editions, although nothing related to the special editions themselves appear in this first book. This is a combined review of both books, which I'm sharing with you today. This is something I've wanted to do for a while, but hadn't gotten around to doing it. But now that we're getting closer to Star Wars coming out this December, I think now is a perfect time to review these two books, which are a must for fans. The first book being Star Wars Chronicles. The author's name are, it's written by Deborah Fine, and it's also something called Ion Incorporated. You could see it has this beautiful TIE fighter like window in the front, and you could see the character shadows over here. Got a nice striped spine, and in the back it basically details what this covers. In this particular first book, it covers episode 4, 5, and 6, as well as the 2 Ewok movies and even the holiday special. Both of these books come in beautiful protective hard cardboard sleeves, and the inside of the book, basically, as I take it out, is where you get all the great art from. And this is the cover. You see various scenes from the movie. Now, the reason why I say these books are a must for fans or for anyone related to Star Wars is, if you look at some of the videos on the StarWars.com site, particularly like the authors or the people who are running the show now in terms of continuity and stuff, these are the books that are referred to more so than anything else, because they have the most detailed photographs from all the films, and quite honestly, these are even better than the DK books. They're beautifully illustrated, the photographs are excellent. It basically even gives you a synopsis of everything that would be to come in the prequel trilogies as published in the Journal of the Whills prologue in the original Star Wars novel, which is how everybody knew that Palpatine was the bad guy, even though we didn't even hear his name in the prequel trilogy. It covers the various technology of Star Wars, and it even covers the books that were published around the time, such as the Han Solo trilogy, which took place before the original trilogy, the Lando Calrissian trilogy, which I think took place before the Han Solo trilogy, and then we get to the really cool stuff, such as you get a character size chart, so you can get an idea of like how things relate to each other, like Jabba the Hutt, and Boba Fett, or what a bantha is, a stormtrooper, Darth Vader, the probe droid, and then the top here you'll see Chewbacca and Han Solo, Leia, Luke, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and R2-D2 and C-3PO. You turn it to this side and you get a beautiful side chart of the various not capital ships, but ships along the lines of the Millennium Falcon, the X-Wing fighter, the T-65, I think it's T-65 Skyhopper, I might have that wrong, the skiff along with Jabba's sail barge, comparing that to the snowtrooper bike. And then if you open on this side, you can compare how big the Sandcrawler is as opposed to an AT-AT. Ironically enough, the Sandcrawler is almost taller than an AT-AT, which is pretty interesting. And then you have more. There's a TIE fighter, twin pod cloud car, snow speeder. And if we go here, we get into the capital ships, which is interesting. So here we have a Rebel transport as it's compared to a Y-Wing fighter, a Millennium Falcon, X-Wing fighters, Slave One, a Lambda class, Imperial shuttle, a TIE bomber, and we come out over here, Mon Calamari cruisers, including the carriers, And you can also see how these ships compare, like the medical frigate as compared to a Star Destroyer, a blockade runner, that sort of thing. And then come over here, and we can have more capital ships. You can see the Super Star Destroyer Executor as compared to the Mon Calamari ships and Star Destroyers. I mean, it really gives you an idea as to how big these things are, and then also how big it is compared to a Star Destroyer. But if you want to see things that'll really blow your mind, here's the Death Star from the first movie compared to the Executor and Cloud City. And here's Cloud City compared to the Executor. I'm sorry, compared to Cloud City, compared to the Executor and a regular Star Destroyer near it. And then you compare all those to the size of the Death Star 2 from Return of the Jedi, and you can see that both ship that the second Death Star is much bigger than the original. So you get these cool pull-out gatefolds. I'm just putting them back the way they were because, you know, this, I like to keep things neat. And basically, it goes right into A New Hope. Now, this is more than just fan service. You really actually get a lot of behind the things, illustrations, models. These are early models of the Star Destroyer. You know, what might have been. And for those of you who like to build ships on your own or etc., this could be a great guide. Goes into the droids, obviously, on Tatooine. I'm skipping ahead a bit just because there's a lot to cover here. Stormtroopers, the original Dewback, the droids in the Sandcrawler, the Skyhopper, which, you know, was not, which we only saw the model of in the original cut, and in the special editions you see one at the end of Jedi, but that's about it, and it's only from behind. Luke's Landspeeder, Obi-Wan's lightsaber, or actually both Obi-Wan's lightsaber and Anakin's lightsaber, which will play a role in the upcoming prequels, I believe, somehow, because Luke inherited it, and so it's like going from one to the next. We have the Cantina creatures before Lucas added the CGI creatures in there, and I mean, it gives you also background information on the characters, like Duros, or the aliens, are the Nemodians that you see in the prequel trilogy are a spin-off, if you will, of this spacefaring species that you see in the prequels. Okay, so, you know, yes, Han did shoot first, as we can see here, and you see some interesting photos of Han, including publicity shots. Here's that weird alien that buys Luke's land speeder. Just going to jump ahead. The Holo Monsters for the Dejeric Hologame. Another thing this is interesting to look at for is if you buy the Sideshow Collectibles or another company collectibles, statues, or figures, you can compare how screen accurate they are simply by looking at these photographs. Now we have things along the lines of TIE fighters, Darth Vader's TIE fighter, it's a TIE Advance. It also goes into the deleted scenes, which we would not see for a long time. And then this is kind of cool for those who ever wondered if it existed because they never saw a copy of it from a convention or something. The ill-fated Star Wars Holiday Special, including the Ralph McQuarrie painting for the planet Kashyyyk and Chewbacca's home. And yes, it actually featured Art Carney in the Star Wars universe for this apocryphal variety show dressed up as a Star Wars thing. The best part of it, which you can get on the Blu-ray disc set from Fox, Star Wars The Complete Saga, is the Nirvana short, which they also cover here, that basically introduced Boba Fett before the prequel trilogy. I'm sorry, before The Empire Strikes Back came out. Okay, and we could see here how Boba Fett, basically his origins in terms of how they developed the character. If you look at Captain Phasma, she has a cape similar like that, although in better condition. And here's Jeremy Bulloch, young Jeremy Bulloch, as you know, trying on the costume. Then it goes right into Empire, and I'm just going to jump ahead again just because we have a lot to cover here, and you'd be surprised of how much this book has in it. And then think that there's 2 of these books, and hopefully one day after the sequel trilogy is over, there'll be a 3rd one. Basically, this covers what you would expect it to cover, but it's not a making of book, and it's not just a show and tell book. It's sort of a hybrid in between. Gives you that information that's in the Star Wars galaxy, and then it also gives you information about the actual models and things themselves, which I find very fascinating. I've always been a fan of spaceships and things of that nature. Love Star Wars. Love a lot of sci-fi, obviously. So, you know, it's always been fun for me. Here's the Scout Walker from Empire. And I'm going to jump ahead again, you know, to inside the Millennium Falcon, as well as the Millennium Falcon models. Slave One, which obviously looks a lot more lived in and scratched up and stuff than we saw it in Jango Fett's incarnation of it. Twin Pod Cloud Cars. And now jumping just ahead some more. Again, once again, it goes into the making of the film, as well as additional scenes and deleted scenes that include even scenes that were added from the radio dramas. And here's a beautiful the beautiful photograph of them doing the opening crawl back in the day. I think this might be using some sort of optical printer, but again, I'm not 100% sure. And we come to Jedi. Once again, lots of great photographs. Different creatures in front of Jabba's palace. Jabba the Hutt himself, and there's various sketches and paintings. I mean, this is really like an all-in-one book. And all the anonymous aliens, I mean, you name it, it's there. This is a cool picture of the puppeteers and craftsmen back in the day with all the aliens and stuff like that that were made in the Lucasfilm Creature Shop when they were making Jedi. And, you know, it's pretty much that sort of thing with this book. So, you know, you're getting a lot of photos, you're getting a lot of information, but these are probably the most detailed and the most authoritative source, and that's why I think you'll see this when you see some videos on the Star Wars website. Very often you'll see this book and the other book in the background, because they do refer to these as reference materials. And while the encyclopedias and the DK books are all great, nothing comes close to this. I mean, you're getting your money's worth when it comes to $150. And once again, you also have the deletions and additions that were added for the radio drama, as well as deleted scenes, you know, from the original cut. And then basically it goes on with the saga continues, covering the Ewok adventure, which theatrically ran in outside the United States, but aired on television in America. And then you have Ewoks: The Battle for Endor. And then after that, you have the original Star Tours. So you're getting a lot of information. And then at the time, this is all now considered legends, and that's what the new term for the expanded universe is. Basically, this is all the legends now. Star Wars novels that were at the time that were available, you know, as well as the Dark Horse comics and so forth. And this timeline of Star Wars, I believe this one is pretty much, this one covers a lot of the post Star Wars timeline as opposed to the prequels, and it basically gives you a very nice bibliography and index. So this is a must get book. Now I'm going to get you the prequel book to show you why I think this is also a great book, whether you like the prequels or not. First of all, cover is really cool. Darth Vader, Star Wars Chronicles, the prequels. Okay, Steven Sansweet and Pablo Hidalgo are the authors. You could see it once again. This one covers The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, as well as the original Clone Wars Star Wars animated series, which, if you haven't seen it, long before the CGI one, if this cartoon series had not existed, you wouldn't have the CGI series that you have now. Lucas later on called this micro series which won Emmys and stuff. a the pilot, if you will. And it also was the animated series not only introduced the character of Asajj Ventress, but it also introduced General Grievous before he would appear in episode 3. So showing you the artwork inside. And the book is pretty much the same, except it's covering the prequels. Okay. And we open it up. Once again, beautiful photography. You know, it's a more recent book. Then basically this is what covers basically the special editions, like what happened in between the prequels and the original classic trilogy. Okay. Giving you the various 2 different CGI versions of Jabba the Hutt, etc. And the various versions of Coruscant which do differ between the 97 and the 2004 and 2007 versions. And then once again you get character size charts for the different clones. What they call here the Scoundrels, Jabba the Hutt, Watto, Jango Fett, Battle Droids, the Separatist Army, we go here, as well as the Old Republic. You have Chewbacca, Jar Jar Binks, Padme Amidala, the droids. Over here you have Nute Gunray, General Grievous, and then the Sith, Darth Maul, Count Dooku, Darth Vader, and Darth Sidious, and the Jedi, which is basically obviously Mace Windu, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and in his alter ego, Senator Palpatine. You come here to this side, once again you get this great size chart. You can see the various ships and get a real feel for how big they would be compared to each other. You know, here is more spaceships. I love spaceships, and here's even more comparison, the various types of surface and space starship type of designs, transports, etc. And then you can also get this is the Theta class Imperial shuttle. It compares it to both the V-wing and Arc 170 starfighter, the Royal Naboo cruiser, the Senator ship, the yacht, as well as the skiff. And then you have various armaments used by the Republic during the Star Wars saga, including the Juggernaut, which goes all the way back to Empire, believe it or not. It wasn't used. You'll find that many designs, that nothing ever gets wasted when it comes to Star Wars. Whatever designs they come up with, I can guarantee you, they in no way, shape, or form are going to are going to just put something away and never refer to it again. So you'll find if you have like any of the old sketchbooks, or if you look at some of these books that have come out in the years after or before, that many of the things that we see in the cartoons and in the movies actually harken back to things that were basically thought of as late as more than 40 years ago, almost 40 years ago probably. You compare the regular Star Destroyer to the Venator class Star Destroyer, to the Rebel Assault Cruiser, which is sort of a Star Destroyer, to that's a transport, and then you see how big that is, a Trade Federation battleship. And you come over here, it's a different type of size setup. You're looking at the core ship, and those are pretty big. And then over here you have, this was not used in the film, but this is supposed to be a Commerce Guild ship. That is a Techno-Union ship. And then these are Confederate vessels, you know, the Separatist vessels during the Clone Wars scene in Jedi. That's the Invisible Hand, General Grievous's ship. That's a Trade Federation lander. Okay. And then as we go ahead, we get, I'm sorry about that. As we go ahead, we get the, pardon me, the brand new timeline as it was back at the, as the backstory was expanded, they have more detail. So you get this really, I mean, not all of it is canon anymore, and some of it was never canon. It was just considered expanded universe, but you basically have everything from the Old Republic to the rise of the Empire, the rise of Empire continued, the Rebellion, the Galactic Civil War, the New Republic, and the New Jedi Order. Most of this has been retconned out, but you could read about it here. And then we go right into the prequels. I'm looking at the Trade Federation ships and that sort of thing. Once again, it's all very similar to the other book. but that's great because it keeps in continuity. And once again, these are excellent reference tools, and just in general, great things for the fans to see. This is a Jar Jar Binks, and this is the Trade Federation shuttle. Okay, and Queen Amidala's little dress that has light bulbs in it, and basically, you know, it covers the prequels very well. And you know, you say what you want about the prequels. Look, George Lucas told the story he wanted to tell. It may have not been the story we all wanted to see, but in the end, it's his baby, and he has a right to tell it the way he wants to, even if it's not exactly what we all expected it to be. I personally still enjoy the films for what they are, and that's just me, you know. Hopefully people will in the future respect him a little bit more for the fact that were it not for him, none of this would exist. And so, you know, you can kick the guy around as much as you want, but you can't take away the credit for all he created, even if some of it has been borrowed from other franchises, etc. He still made it original onto itself because of his approach. Now, this once again goes to the pod races, and literally it'll go through every single pod racer you've ever seen. I'm not going to go through all that now because it's just, once again, these books are too much. You have the Senate landing platform, Senate guard, which, you know, are different from the red guard that we see later. And just jump ahead a bit more. You have the Naboo ground battle and the different creatures used, and the basically the finale. And then once again, you have information on the making of the first movie before coming to Attack of the Clones. And I'm just going to jump ahead some more here. You know, Coruscant. Here's the Outlander gambling casino. You could see them playing a type of, they call it Noonaball with the droids. It's kind of, looks like sort of like a soccer type game. I don't know. Various aliens inside. This is the deleted scene analysis droid, which you can see on the DVD extra features, as well as I think the Blu-ray ones too. Should be interesting as the digital technology expands and gets better. How eventually true digital copies of the films with all the extras restored will be when you have them, you know, available to watch. Okay, you know, on your Apple TV or Roku, Google TV, whatever you might have. Okay, now, what's more? Here's the Jedi Starfighter, and here's Jango Fett, much cleaner Mandalorian armor, and here's the cleaner, different paint job, etc. Slave One that Jango Fett used and that Boba Fett inherited after the fact. Okay, and we have Cliegg Lars, and they even compare certain things, looking back at things from A New Hope, to try and match down to, like here Edgerton. You could see how they try to make him look as if maybe this is the younger version of the actor who played Uncle Owen in the original Star Wars. Just jumping ahead some more, we have the Tusken Raider camp, the Separatists, the various monsters in the arena battle on Geonosis, the assault cruisers. I mean, there's just so much to cover. I wish to God I can just go through this page for page, but it would take way too long, and this is a longer than usual video that I'm doing, mainly because I want to give you all an idea as to why I think this book is worth the money, both of them, especially if you're a true fan. If you're not a fan, obviously, you probably turn this video off by now, but if you are a fan and you're looking for something really cool and you haven't seen these before, I hope that this will convince you to go out and find them and get them, because they're wonderful books. The only books that I think that come close to it but are different are the Art of books from Star Wars, which I do have for the first 6 films, and of course the DK books are good on their own level, but as nicely detailed as the DK books are, they're not the same as this, as you can see. I mean, it's just very different. It's like comparing Google to Apple. It's two totally different business models, you know. So here's once again search for Palpatine deleted scenes that are covered here. The Jedi battle here. More of the aliens. You can see the Mon Calamari performers. Here's George Lucas's one and only cameo that I'm aware of from the Star Wars saga in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And you see Kashyyyk as it appeared in Revenge of the Sith. And lots more clone troopers, separatist ships, etc. And here's Commander Cody. I have this premium format figure. It's almost, if not exactly, like this photograph here. And here's the Nemodians and the Nemodian guards. And basically the birth of Luke and Leia. And basically you have the making of Episode 3. And pretty much it closes at that, with then the expanded universe and prequel novels and such, and comic books and novels that had been published in between the previous book and this book is also covered in a condensed manner. Now, I did want to show you guys the Clone Wars part, so I'm just going to jump back a little bit before I end this. Yes, Star Wars, the animated Clone Wars micro series, was the first not only to introduce Asajj Ventress, but it also introduced General Grievous, and unfortunately it doesn't have a picture of him here. I thought it did, but nevertheless, you can take my word for it, he was there. I mean, you can even see the invisible hand. He appears at the end of Volume 1, as they call it now. They were both available on Fox on DVD. And the artwork is by Genndy Tartakovsky, who did Samurai Jack, and they did a really nice mix of traditional animation and CGI cell animation as well. So that's basically it. You have Star Wars Chronicles, the prequels, which came out in 2005. It has a suggested retail price of $150. I don't know what the price would be in the UK or whatnot, or in Australia or Canada or whatnot, because it doesn't list that. And then I know I paid $150 for this because I bought this at the Virgin Megastore back in the day. But then you have Star Wars Chronicles, and you know, the nice black spine over here, and the inside of these two books, which are Goliath, really huge, heavy books, but worth every penny. So this has just been a I don't know if I wouldn't exactly say it's a review, but I guess you can call it that, but definitely a strong look and a strong urging from me to all you Star Wars fans out there. If you haven't gotten these books, check Amazon.com or check your favorite bookstore, whether it be online or offline. See if you can order these if you really want them. They're definitely worth it. I know they're pricey, but if you're a Star Wars fan, once again, I think they're worth it, and hopefully the Force is with you. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day now. Bye-bye.